So I don't care who you put in front of me. It could have been him, Bo, anybody else. I'm going to take their head off. I'm going to hunt and hurt them for 25 minutes.
Well, Rob, how quickly things can change. One of the most turbulent weeks in UFC history resulted in a number of fight changes, including yours. Tell me, from your perspective, when did you start hearing rumblings that Khamzat Chimaev might not be able to make it to the fight?
Honestly, about the same day I got a new opponent. It all happened very quick. Coach pulled me aside and told me that Chimaev is out of the fight, but we're working on getting you a new opponent. And within 2 hours, obviously that 2 hours was a little stressful, but within 2 hours they had a new name for me, and here we are.
So was your priority just ensuring that you had a fight that weekend, regardless of who it was?
Definitely. Like my coaching staff understand that I've put in all this work and that I'm here to fight. They just let's just find someone that'll take the fight. Understandably, it's very short notice. And again, this is how I provide for my family. This is how I make a living. This is how I put bread on the table for my kids. So to not fight would have been a catastrophe. So I'm glad and I'm blessed that I'm here.
Do you have any idea of what might have happened to Khamzat? Because there were some suggestions of food poisoning, but a post from his manager sounded a bit more sinister.
I got no idea what happened to him. I heard he had some health concerns though, and I wish him honestly all the best and a speedy recovery, because outside of the octagon we're just people, and I don't want that. I don't want that for people.
Absolutely. We certainly wish Khamzat Chimaev all the best in his recovery. Now, Ikram Aliskerov, looking ahead to this weekend, you said you hadn't heard of him prior to him accepting the fight. So when you did hear that he was stepping up to the plate, did you go back and rewatch all his UFC fights to familiarise yourself?
Definitely. Definitely. And I meant no disrespect in that. It's just I just hadn't, but that's no surprise, really. I'm not big into into watching the UFC and whatnot. But I definitely watch his tape, and honestly, I think he brings like almost a higher level of threat than Chimaev did, because his skill set is very well rounded. He's got some really good hands, and he's a guy with a mindset now that he has nothing to lose, only everything to gain, and that's super dangerous. I have to respect this fight and respect the threat that he's going to bring, and then that's going to bring an animal out of me.
It's interesting you say that. Yeah, I agree. I think he is more well-rounded. Like, he's finished 11 out of 15 fights. You and I spoke about how early Khamzat likes to shoot and how wrestling-heavy his game plan is. But Ikram, with 6 knockouts and 5 submissions, he is more well-rounded, isn't he?
Yeah. From the tape that I watched, he's very well-rounded, and he's quite clever. With his fight IQ and the way he fights and approaches the fight, and he adapts well on the go. It's but mate, I'm ready for him. I'm going to come in there and hunt him. I'm going to come in there and take his head off.
He says you were lying when you said you hadn't heard of him, because he fought Khamzat Chimaev, of course, and he lost to Khamzat. He said that you, in your preparation for Khamzat, would have seen him get knocked out about 1 million times. How do you respond to that?
I didn't watch that fight. I hadn't done any research yet. I've watched Chimaev fight like in recent years, but I don't do a lot of research on my opponents. You know this. I've spoken about it before. I don't do a lot of research on my opponents. And the time that I do my research is usually like a few days before the fight or fight day itself. So hadn't heard of him yet. Again, I didn't mean disrespectfully. I know him and his coaching staff took it that way, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. We're going to fight on Saturday anyway.
Sunday here in Australia, of course. But do you see weaknesses in his game, particularly regarding the fact that this fight is going to go 5 rounds, something that you're well accustomed to?
Mate, I am prepared to make it a slugfest, to make it a war. I'm ready to go the entire way. I prepared for a really tough fight with Chimaev for 25 minutes, and I understood the task at hand. The task hasn't changed. I'm ready and willing to go that distance with him, and mate, he's not getting me out of there. I'm going to take everything from him.
Regarding the middleweight division, Rob, I did want to ask you about the news that broke quite recently. Israel Adesanya has been announced officially to be taking on Dricus du Plessis for the middleweight title here in Australia. Can I get your thoughts on that matchup, particularly considering the fact that you know both these guys quite well?
Yeah, I think stylistically, I think Dricus has a good shot. I think he has a good chance. That's kind of the direction that I'm leaning, because we saw the pressure that Dricus was able to push on Sean, who's a pressure fighter. have a lot of success with that. And we saw Sean pressure fight Izzy and have a lot of success with that. So, you know, doing MMA math, you would think that Dricus gets his hand raised, but you know, that's not how fights roll out. But I'll be there watching at the very least.
Has Dricus improved since he fought you, do you think?
Hard to say. I'm sure every fight makes a fighter better. So, you know, I'd like to think he's improved.
Do you fight the winner of that fight?
Hard to say, mate. It's something I'm not really worrying about. It's I understand the task for Ikram, and that's the only thing I'm focusing on, mate.
Because I did want to ask you about the comments made by Sean Strickland ever since beating Paulo Costa. He insists that he's going to wait, he deserves the title shot, and his next fight will be for the championship. Now, your camp has come out and said that's a bit entitled from Sean. What are your thoughts on it?
I don't know. He can do whatever he wants. I don't care, to be honest. Like, I have no opinion on what he does.
Fair enough. Now, Rob, somebody else who was apparently contacted about this fight was Bo Nickel. Now, you've spoken a little bit about this in the past, but I do want to ask you, if that fight was to actually take place this weekend, how do you think it would go? And would you welcome a fight against one of the UFC's up-and-coming prospects?
Mate, I'm going in there on Saturday with my A game. I'm fit, I'm strong, I'm sharp, and I've got a headspace to be a predator, to be the hunter. So I don't care who you put in front of me. It could have been him, Bo, anybody else. I'm going to take their head off. I'm going to hunt and hurt them for 25 minutes.
How are you going to do it, Rob?
I'm going to put one right on his chin. That's the plan.
Head kick or big right hand? Superman punch?
Mate, anything that lands, mate, I'm going to be flailing.
We can't wait to see it. Rob, go well, bring it home for Australia.
Thank you, mate. Take it easy.